Call to order the meeting of the City of Lincoln Park Mayor and City Council of October 15th. If everyone would please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance, which will be immediately followed by the invocation by Reverend Crystal Shipling of Blessed Hope Church. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Lord God, we come before you this evening asking for your wisdom, guidance, for truth to be spoken and heard, for concerns of this city to be determined. And we ask that you give this council your protection and your good grace as they work hard to govern as they were elected. Lord, we also pray for those in employ of the city of Lincoln Park. We pray for DPW. We pray for an understanding in the community about our dependence on what they do, on how blessed we are to be in a city where when things are brought up, things happen. And we are grateful for their service, for the service of the police, the fire department, for all who work with the city. We ask a special blessing on Gina Sparks as she awaits good outcome on her medical issues. We ask that you be with her and her family, strengthen her and heal her. We pray for Matt Koppler, his family, upon the death in his family. We pray for those who were injured, Officer Howe, who is in recovery, and for his family, that this would be a time where they too are strengthened, where you are a God who provides. We pray for the Nelson family in the community who lost 2 family members suddenly, days apart. It's a burden and a hardship to lose one, but multiples gets very difficult. We ask that you be with them and keep your promise to comfort those who mourn. And Lord, we ask for those that prey upon the elderly. We lift them up to you. We ask that you would show them and teach them the way to respect and to regard those who are older, that seniors would not have to be afraid. Give them protection, give them security and safety over themselves and over their properties. We thank you for all you do. In Jesus' name, amen.
Thank you, Reverend. If we could have roll call, please.
Councilperson Darzinski.
Here.
Higgins.
Here.
Kelsey.
Here.
Murphy.
Here.
Parkinson.
Here.
Ross.
Here.
Mayor Carnes.
Here. All right, good evening, everyone. Reverend Shipling had a few things that she wanted to announce, so I think now is a pretty appropriate time. Reverend?
Thank you. As many of you know or may not know, the school board in Lincoln Park and the school system, the district, has placed a priority on not only kids' academic achievement, but also their ability to handle and cope with stress. So if they are in situations where there's hunger, food insecurity, where multiple moves due to issues within the family, there are all kinds of ways traumatic illness can cause issues for children as well. And the school district has asked for the help to start being purposeful about creating community for the kids. And one opportunity to learn what this means and what we could do is just plain people is Friday. The Lincoln Park School District is holding a training at Blessed Hope, 3804 Hazel Avenue, the old LeBlanc School over off of Dixon Moran. It starts at 8:30 for the registration, and then class runs from 9 to noon, and then the second session runs from 12:30 to 3:30. It's great if you can come the whole day, but if you can only come for part of it, the morning talks about what happens to the kids, how it appears or begins to manifest with the kids, and the afternoon session is what we can do. Big brother, big sister programs. There's a ton of things that we can do as a community to provide for kids a greater sense of people who care about them beyond their immediate family and the people they know in school. And since the school board has asked for that support, we sure would like to see Lincoln Park reach up and be a city that I've known you to be for the last 30 years, a city that responds when there's a need. So that's one thing. Second thing is, if you don't have anything better to do Saturday night, come party over at Blessed Hope. We have a live band. We're going to have a dinner. It's open to the community. It's just fun. There's stuff for the kids. There's stuff for the grown-ups. I heard somebody say we're going to see if Pastor Gary can still limbo. I don't know that that's true, but we'll find out. But I want to welcome you to come do that. No strings attached, no sermon. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Reverend. So we've had news that I saw in the article today that our Sears is going to be closing. Just got that with Sears' bankruptcy from the news this morning. We are looking at what it could be with that property. Our economic development director, our downtown development executive director, Mr. Giles Tucker, has been in contact with the people of the company that owns that property, so we will not let that fall foul under our feet. Have to say goodbye to a longtime partner with Sears. Has been very good for the city of Lincoln Park for many years, and that was what we were identified for with that shopping center forever. But nothing lasts always and forever, so we will close that door and open up a new one. That's what we're anticipating. On November 3rd, you have a couple of events that are going to be coming up. One is at the Historical Museum, where it's a commemorative of the 100 years of the end of World War I. There'll be a couple of speakers. I'll be one of them, going over my grandfather's journal of his time and in service in World War I. So please come out and see that. Also on November 3rd, you mentioned the Reverend mentioned Officer Howe in her invocation. He was seriously hurt in a motorcycle accident, and the family and friends are putting together a fundraiser for him. It will be at the American Legion over on Southfield, and I think that's from 5 to 8, but you have to, we'll get the flyer and post some more information on that. But $15, $20 to get in, and it's something where the officer is going to need extensive surgery, and again, our prayers and thoughts are with him. But that'll be on November 3rd, which is a Saturday. Coming up a little bit closer to that is on October 17th, which is this Wednesday, the Lincoln Park School Educational Foundation is having their second annual Fall Flannel Fancy. Kind of tough to say. But you're encouraged to wear a flannel shirt to the Steel Trap. It's at 5 to 8 p.m., a $15 cost. To get in, it includes a couple of beverages and a hamburger or a chicken wrap. And all the funds go to support the Lincoln Park School Educational Foundation. All right. To the members of council here, it is time for Mr. Koppler's annual review, so we will be passing out or distributing the questionnaire again for your input, and then I'll total up all the information, and then see how it is for an upcoming meeting, hopefully the next one. Depending on when everything gets back, we'll go over the results of that. All right.
We stage a coup before then and keep
Huh. I don't think so. I have a couple of proclamations. And the first one is World Polio Day, which is October 24, 2018. Whereas Rotary International, founded on February 23, 1905 in Chicago, Illinois, is the world's first and one of the largest nonprofit service organizations. And whereas the Rotary motto, service above self, inspires members to provide humanitarian service, encouraging high ethical standards and promote goodwill and peace in the world. Whereas Rotary in 1985 launched Polio Plus and spearheaded the Global Polio Eradication Initiative, which today includes the World Health Organization, U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, UNICEF, and the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation to immunize the children of the world against polio. Whereas polio cases have dropped by 99.9% since 1988, and the world stands on the threshold of eradicating the disease. And whereas to this date, the Rotary has contributed more than $1.8 billion and countless volunteer hours to the protection of more than 2.5 billion children in 122 countries. And whereas Rotary is currently working to raise an additional $50 million per year, which would be further leveraged for maximum impact by an additional $100 million annually from the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. Whereas the Rotary Club of Lincoln Park is one of over 50 clubs throughout our Rotary District 6400, sponsoring service projects to address such critical issues as poverty, health, hunger, literacy, and the environment in their local communities and abroad. Now therefore, I, Thomas E. Carnes, Mayor of the City of Lincoln Park, along with the City Council, do hereby proclaim October 24, 2018 as World Polio Day. And that is that. A nice thing for the Junior Service Club of Lincoln Park. Next proclamation is for an upcoming event, which will be on Saturday, October 27th, in which the Clifford C. Reeves chapter of the Order of DMLA will be celebrating their 75th anniversary. Proclamation is, whereas the Order of DMLA is a character-building organization of young men 13 to 21 years of age who are seeking to become better citizens and leaders for tomorrow by developing those traits of character which have strengthened good men of all ages. And whereas the Order of DMLA has carried out the aforementioned goals through their program of athletic competition, social activity, community service, and numerous charitable projects. And whereas the Clifford C. Reeves Chapter Order of DMLA will be celebrating their 75th anniversary on Saturday, October 27, 2018, with degrees and ceremonies starting at 10:30 a.m., followed by the anniversary banquet at 5:30 p.m. at the Lincoln Park Masonic Temple. Now therefore be resolved that I, Mayor Thomas E. Carnes, along with the City Council and the citizens of Lincoln Park, do hereby salute the young men of this Clifford C. Reeves Chapter Order of DMLA. We express our deepest gratitude for their willingness to participate and aid in community activities, thereby setting fine examples of good characters for our youth. Now, I will not be able to attend this, but I understand that Councilman Kelsey is going to be attending and presenting that and extending the best wishes of all of us in their 75th anniversary. Quite a deal. And we have a gentleman that's in the audience that has been with the order for some 50 years. Is that correct? Oh, he was here. Took off. Well, congratulations anyway. And that is what I have for mayor's comments, and move to the consent agenda. Resolved that the following items listed under the consent agenda be approved as presented to the mayor and city council. 1, approved minutes, regular meeting held October 1, 2018. 2, set trick-or-treat hours.
So moved.
Support.
Discussion? Clerk call the roll.
Council President Murphy?
Yes.
Councilperson Darzinski?
Yes.
Higgins?
Yes.
Kelsey?
Yes.
Parkinson?
Yes.
Ross?
Yes.
Mayor Kearns?
Yes. And those hours will be 5 PM through 8 PM on Wednesday, October 31st. Those that did not know. I need a bigger desk. First action item that we have is resolved that Larry Edge, Senior, 1746 Ford Boulevard, Lincoln Park, Michigan, 48146, is appointed to the Economic Development Corporation, term to expire October 15, 2024.
So moved.
Support.
Discussion? Clerk call the roll.
Councilperson Kelsey?
Yes.
Higgins?
Yes.
Darzinski?
Yes.
Murphy?
Yes.
Parkinson?
Yes.
Ross?
Yes.
Mayor Kearns?
Yes. 2024, I just get a smile off that for some reason.
Around the corner.
Okay, next item is be it resolved that Carrie Kerr, pursuant to the Lincoln Park Charter, Chapter 111, Section 7, Paragraph D, B, and is hereby appointed to the position of city clerk effective October 15, 2018, to fill the unexpired term created by the resignation of Donna Breeding.
So moved.
Support.
Okay, discussion?
Yeah, through the chair, let's start talking about how this looks. It has nothing to do with the person's ability to do the job. Carrie is exceptional at that. But there's a lot of concerns about how it looks. So, and for my money and for the $57 million that we just helped out Wayne County, and I'm sorry, but, you know, they should be able to send us a couple of bodies to assist Jessica and the other volunteer staff that we have at the city clerk's office, so that things are done right. It just doesn't, the optics are not good. And again, has nothing to do with the person's qualifications or her abilities. So that's where I stand on this.
Your Honor.
Well, we have reached out to the county for assistance.
Yeah, we need to drop the hammer on them.
And the county has said that there is no one that is available. And as fate would have it, the person that they were reaching out to was Carrie in order to go to other communities to do that. You had something else?
Yeah,
Somebody-
Your Honor.
Yes, go ahead.
Say something, then I'd like
Okay,
to.
two questions, really. One is actually, they're both probably through the chair to the city manager. Do you believe without a sitting city clerk, we can get through this election? Do we have the people can you do that?
If council does not appoint a city clerk tonight, we are prepared to go forward with staff and bring on additional staff in a part-time capacity to manage and oversee the elections coming up.
Okay. And through the chair, can I ask Jessica, and I know it's not usual that we get to ask the clerk a question, but I think this is unusual circumstances. Do you feel comfortable going through and taking care of this?
Not certified. I think, and I don't mean to answer for her, but I think I'm trying to help her
Yeah, I don't
out
want to
here.
embarrass her. It's not what I'm trying to do at
Yeah,
all.
no, I think, she is being put in a very awkward position,
I
to
understand
say
that.
the least.
Understand.
And I think, as I've said many times before in this, that, I have a lot of confidence and trust in Jessica, or we would not have put her in the position that we put her in. But the reality is that although she just was recently certified, I believe, on some of the election equipment. Sure.
I took the course last week.
Yep.
But
That doesn't necessarily, and again, I'm sorry to interrupt, but that doesn't necessarily give her experience in operating an election.
Okay.
And, you know, again, I think what I've said, that if we, you know, either don't appoint, if mayor and council doesn't appoint a clerk or appoints another clerk, a person to fill that, you know, I'm prepared to talk with Carrie to see if we can strike some type of arrangement to bring her back part-time to help oversee the election.
Okay, this will open up another question. It's my understanding, and I don't want to go into personal things on the floor, but it's my understanding that the reason Carrie had to resign or retire was it was a pension issue. Will that change the pension issue if we appoint her?
No, so the pension issue is that as an employee that's in the MERS system, they require a 60-day step away from the position if you're going to go back and work for that community you just retired from going forward. They also put a clause in there that if you're, you know, running for election, were to get elected, you still have to have the same 60 days. And so the problem that we ran into is that under a perfect world, we wouldn't have any of these issues, right? In a
Right.
perfect world, but this is less than perfect, unfortunately. And she had to retire, give 60 days, and then it makes it, she is then eligible after that to come back and work part-time, be elected, be appointed, whatever that case may be. So,
Okay.
so her pension issues, you know, the legality of that with MERS is all passed, and she is eligible to work for the city or be the clerk or, you know, whatever happens.
And one final question. We've gone to the county and asked for help. Have we gone to the state and asked for help?
We have not asked the state. I'm going to guess, and I have no problem asking the state, but I'm pretty sure what they're going to do is point us back to the county, because they, you know, the county answers to them, and that's how it usually works. But I will ask that, and again, you know, I think I had a conversation with Councilman Darzinski last week about this, is that, you know, I'm still going to reach out a little bit more to see if I can get someone, you know, for the election day at least.
Okay.
Because, again, I think I'm very sensitive, and I think I may have said to you that it's a political issue, which means it's your issue.
All right.
But, you know, being sensitive to that issue, you know, to have, you know, someone that's, you know, from the county there would be good to help overcome that. But let me, you know, just say I've been here now 3 years. I've worked with Carrie, I've worked with Donna. You know, I never had any doubt about the status of our elections and how they were going to turn out, because of the professionalism both Donna and Carrie, you know, have acted with over those 3 years. And so I think that, you know, as I state, the political perception issue you have is not a practical operational issue that I have, because I know that they both have acted in the 3 years that I've been here from a care for the community and to make sure the right thing gets done. And I do not doubt that going forward, that's exactly what we would expect from either of them if they were, you know, in that role.
Okay, and I also would like to state exactly what my colleague Chris said. This has absolutely got nothing to do with the qualifications of Carrie. She has done a wonderful job in her position, and it's simply on how it looks for the city, and it is simply, I think we should be shouting at the state.
Can I?
Well, hold on one second. We have a duty to do what is best for the city of Lincoln Park. We are responsible to our citizens to make sure that this election is handled in the most professional way that we possibly can. We have a trained person that has overseen these elections underneath the city clerk for the past several years and was the most up-to-date on all of the computer things that are necessary to do that. In order to have a good election, not taking anything away from Jessica over here, but she's brand new coming into that, and we don't know what type of problems could arise. This is something that, in my opinion, that the city needs. And no matter how it looks, this is what is important. This is what was done the last time in 1993, in which a city clerk resigned, and then another city clerk 6 months before the election, was appointed, deputy city clerk was appointed to be city clerk. And that was a challenged election too. So we're not doing anything new here with this. But that's it. So who is next? Councilman Kelsey?
Just a little history here, and I guess we might as well get this all on the floor because I think everybody else understand how the process works. There wasn't a challenge when Donna ran, and she ran the election, and she ran for election. Nobody challenged her being in the office of being clerk when she ran. I mean, that's just the way it works, okay? If Donna wouldn't have had resigned, and Carrie wouldn't have had to take any time off, and Carrie decided to run for election, we wouldn't take her out of the office. That's not what we do. That's not how the process works. So whether or not it looks bad or not, there is a lot of history of how things work in politics, and I guess that's just the way the system is. And I think that has to be stated, and I think the mayor stated about a little history how it was when Mrs. Breeding came in and Mrs. Bartell retired, if I'm not correct. I wasn't here, but I understand there was some history here. We have that all the time. You see the clerks in every city run for election, and whoever runs against them, the clerks don't step down. They don't remove themselves from the office and leave. That doesn't happen. Nobody requires that. The state or the federal government or the state or the county government doesn't require that. I think the other issue is that unfortunately we're in this situation because of the two issues I just mentioned. You have somebody who decided to run for the clerk's office, had to resign for 60 days by MERS to secure her pension. You had the city clerk deciding that she wanted to resign, and we had the perfect storm. It's 2 weeks before the election, roughly 22 days, I think, if NBC has it right when I was watching before I came here, before the national elections. So I don't think there's an issue. It might look bad, but I don't think it's an issue where it is bad. And I think the idea is the elections, and I've had a little bit of experience in union elections. You don't learn that in a book. There's no book that teaches you all the fine lines that when somebody comes in and says and does your audit, your election, and says, why didn't you do this? It's the person who runs the election or who takes care of the election who's responsible, and that's just the way it works. So I respect my colleagues asking that question, but politically, I guess there's a situation where I don't think it exists because we have a history of doing that, and so is the other cities in this organization we belong to in Wayne County. If there was somebody different, maybe, but I don't think there's a problem with Carrie doing it. I don't think there's a issue with it. I don't think there's any bias in it, and I'll just say it the way it is, okay? I don't think there's going to be a problem with the election. The election's always overseen by Wayne County anyways. We always get the temporary results before the county certifies it anyways, so it's going to be looked at by them. And I just want to make that quite clear so we get everything out on the table that we're talking about. Thank you.
Your Honor, through the chair.
Well, first, give people a chance to speak first and then go through is there anything else? Go ahead.
Through the chair.
Yes.
When I ran for council the first time, I was still working for the city. If in the city pension, you could run for the office and not leave the city before you got there. MERS is the one that has these stupid rules that you can't work and all this stuff. It's ridiculous what MERS has you jump through the hoops to do. Had it would been a regular pension, Carrie could have worked right up until the day she was elected, before she had to remove herself from the city. So I believe there's such checks and balances out there that Carrie could not make the election come out differently anyway. How many people are there checking and rechecking the votes, So she's just there to organize and make sure it's run properly and correctly. So I think it would be a fine idea. Okay, thank you.
Council President?
Mayor, I was going to pretty much be aligned with what Councilman Kelsey had said. We have a fully qualified and certified deputy city clerk, basically, that has run many elections without any problems at all. And I agree also that if she had decided to stay on as deputy, she would have been in the office and running and still being in her position as deputy city clerk. So I don't see the controversy there. So.
That's it. Anything else from council?
Yeah, through the chair. I'm just going to stand firm on this to make sure that everything looks right. And again, that's what I'm talking about here. I mean, the county could find somebody. They could.
Through the chair.
And
Yes, ma'am.
Do we have to make this appointment tonight?
Yes.
It has to be tonight?
It's our last meeting.
We can't call a special meeting to give the county another week to find someone?
Or to approach the state?
Yes.
In my personal opinion, there's no reason to put this off. We need to make this decision. You either want to go in this fashion and appoint the former deputy clerk to the position, or you want to go in one of the other two options that were presented, which was to do nothing at all, or to look for a different person in order to appoint.
Your Honor.
Yes?
Yeah, I wanted to say that right now, Carrie is volunteering her time. She's working down there without pay, just to make sure that everything runs the way it should run. It isn't fair to her for that to keep going on.
We had anything further from council?
Just, I'm sorry, one last comment. Fortunately or unfortunately, when you're an elected official, you make decisions that you're accountable for. Sometimes they're good, sometimes they're bad, but you do it for the people. Sometimes they're unpopular. That's what we get paid for, and that's why we get elected. We make decisions whether the best interests of the organization, in this case, it's the city. Sometimes they're not popular, but that's not popularity contest. Popularity contest, you might as well be an entertainer or somebody selling tickets to a venue. You're going to make a lot of decisions on this council and in this organization that aren't perfect. And as far as I'm concerned, this is the way the council should go, and I feel comfortable with it. I don't take anything away from the people that say the argument the other way. I don't have a problem with that, but I don't think it rises to that occasion, and that's just the way I look at it. Thank you.
Okay, then we had from the audience. Go ahead, sir.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Richard Kudrak. The election's in 3 weeks. I don't see the reason for this appointment. With this appointment, council seems to be manipulating the November 6th general election in favor of a preferred candidate. Residents have a right to choose their elected city representatives without council interference. Council members are free to individually support any candidate for any elective office. When it is done as a collective body, it appears more like a conspiracy. Irene Bartell was the city clerk in 1993. She left city employment, leaving the position vacant. Council appointed Donna Breeding as city clerk before the general election. This assignment of incumbency likely played a factor in her victory. This election manipulation seems to be what the council is doing now. I am disturbed the council claims city clerk candidates must have experience. Council is reminded I ran twice for city clerk. If I had been elected, the city would have had an inexperienced city clerk. Wayne County training is available for all newly elected clerks. If you just let this go until the election, whoever wins, wins. Whoever loses has no argument. Let it go, folks.
Any further discussion from the audience? Seeing, hearing none, call the roll, please. Yeah.
Council President Kelsey? Oh, sorry.
promotion.
2 weeks ahead of time here.
Talk about politics. I hope nobody.
Congratulations, Larry.
Sorry, Jessica. Yes.
She's
I
reading
vote
the tea
yes.
leaves, Larry.
I vote yes.
Okay. Councilperson Parkinson?
Yes.
Darzinski?
No.
Higgins?
No.
Murphy?
Yes.
Ross?
Yes.
Mayor Carnes?
Yes. Next item that we have, if I get my stuff.
Do we have to swear her in, Tom? Do we have to swear her in?
No, we'll have a judge take care of that. All right, this item has a cover letter from John Kazoo, Director of Public Services. In September 2017, the city, wrong one? Oh, I thought this was associated with that. My apologies. Whereas the mayor and city council wish to schedule a study session to discuss the proposed 2019 road sectioning, milling, and paving and reconstruction program for the city with the city's consulting engineer. Now therefore be it resolved that the mayor and council schedule a study session on the proposed 2019 road sectioning, milling, and paving and reconstruction program for Wednesday, October 24, 2018 at 6:30 PM in the John A. Elwes Council Chambers, 1355 Southfield Road, Lincoln Park, Michigan.
So moved.
Support.
Any discussion? Clerk, call the roll.
Councilperson Kelsey,
Yes.
Darzinski,
Yes.
Higgins.
Yes.
Murphy.
Yes.
Parkinson.
Yes.
Ross.
Yes.
Mayor Kearns.
Yes. Okay, as I was saying, in September 2017, the City of Lincoln Park applied to Wayne County Federal Aid Committee to obtain federal assistance for the reconstruction of River Drive from south of Ford Boulevard to Emmons Avenue. At the July 11, 2018 Wayne County Federal Aid Committee meeting, the River Drive project was selected to receive federal assistance for the 2020 construction season. The River Drive project will consist of the complete removal and replacement of the road. The replacement of storm sewer crossings, sewer utility structures will be replaced and rebuilt as necessary, and all sidewalk ramps will be removed and replaced to meet current ADA regulations. In addition, there will be an 8-inch water main that exists within the River Drive right away from Ford Boulevard to the ITC corridor, from Moran Avenue to Emmons Avenue. As a part of this project, it is recommended to replace the aging water main as part of the road construction. The water main replacement would not receive federal assistance, would have to be funded 100% using the city funds. All right, so resolution is, whereas Hennessy Engineers Incorporated is the city's current engineering firm, be resolved that the mayor and city council authorize Hennessy Engineers Incorporated to perform the design of the water main that exists within the River Drive right-of-way from Ford Boulevard to the ITC corridor and from Moran Avenue to Emmons at a cost not to exceed $18,230 to come from account number 420-001-821000 Water and Sewer Capital Account.
So moved.
Support.
Discussion? Clerk, call the roll.
Council President Murphy.
Yes.
Councilperson Parkinson.
Yes.
Darzinski.
Yes.
Higgins.
Yes.
Kelsey.
Yes.
Ross.
Yes.
Mayor Kearns.
Yes. Next item has a cover letter from our city manager, Matthew Kopler. Since 2015, the city has maintained a contract with City Towing Lincoln Park, Michigan for towing leasing of property owned by the city towing, lease of property owned by city towing for storage of vehicles and the management of the storage of towed vehicle. This agreement has expired, but due to the relative success of this program, staff recommends the extension of this agreement for a period of 2 years. City has paid to City Towing $104,999 in fiscal year 2017 and $105,860 in fiscal year 2018. So far this year, the cost of the city has been $22,115. This arrangement has been very beneficial to the city over this time. In fiscal year 2017, the city realized a revenue of $455,604. And in fiscal year 2018, the revenue received was $450,805. So far in fiscal year 2019, the city received $88,400 in revenue. The revenue received through this program helps fund the operations of the police department to provide needed services to our residents. This extension will have only one change, the ability for city towing to charge an extra $5 per vehicle that it stores on its property. So whereas the city has a towing contract with City Towing for towing, lease of property, and storage of towed items. Whereas that agreement has expired and both parties wish to extend the terms of the agreement for another 2 years, with the only change allowing City Towing to collect $5 a day fee for storage of the vehicles. And now therefore be it resolved that the mayor and council authorize the extension of the agreement with City Towing for towing, lease of property, and storage of towed items for for 2 additional years under the same terms as the original agreement, except for the updated Appendix B heretofore attached as Attachment A, and be it further resolved that the mayor and city clerk are authorized to sign the extension on behalf of the city of Lincoln Park.
So moved.
Support.
Discussion?
Question through the chair. Normally, we send these out every 3 years to be re-looked at. Was there a reason why this is extended and not put up for bid or for RP that we put out?
Yeah, as we looked at it, based upon the last time that they went out to bid, there was only one other company. And we didn't feel that, based upon what they had submitted before, would be very competitive again. That's one piece. The second piece is that as we looked at the infrastructure that we've built with this particular vendor, it would be hard to replicate and actually cost us money to figure out how to, because the other issue, I should go back, the other issue that was in the bid for the other one is that they were not going to provide a site for the storage of vehicles. And so we would have had to have figured out another site to effectively be able to store all the vehicles that this particular site with the current vendor for the service has. And so it just creates a lot of issue that we want to have a little bit more time to discuss this internally to come up with an option. And actually, the option that is being discussed is with the court police facility concept that's being looked at through the study, which hopefully we'll be getting back to you guys in late November, early December on. That includes a storage facility within that site. So we'd be able to actually bring everything in-house at that point and not have to rely upon the storage piece, so we'd be able to do all the storage ourselves. The towing would have to be worked out, so that's kind of the other thing, is we're not sure where we're going to end up with that particular project, and so we wanted a couple of years additional to try to work out the details on that.
Okay, I just don't want to get, through the chair, I just don't want to get involved in a long-term, where pretty soon we're stuck because of everything we put in place, and then, and it happens, sometimes what happens, and things change, and then we have nowhere to go because we're stuck. That was my concern. I mean, I don't have a problem with the contract per se, but I'd like to just keep that in mind, that I don't want to get in a position where the city has no wiggle room, or we don't have the ability to lead. And who knows how long I'm stuck on that now, how long the court is going to take to get that and then get the other thing. It could be years from now, or it could be a short time, but, all right, well, just
Yeah. And that
keep in
was,
mind, that's all.
and that was one of the considerations why we looked for a 2-year extension instead of a 1-year, because that was early on. Had we acted when we were thinking about it earlier, it would have been a 1-year, but because of what we're seeing with the court facility, we just want to have that plan. And actually, in doing that plan, would open up a very competitive field for the towing aspect of the service, so.
And just a final question real quick, and I'm sure you're going to share some of that information before we get too far down the line and into the court, so that we have an idea as a city what we're going to be responsible for, what's being talked about, and not have it presented like, 3 days before we vote on it, and have everybody have months to look at it and ask questions. So, Thank you, Your Honor. I'm all set.
Question? Through the chair. These fees, are these usual and customary?
Yeah, so, one of the concerns that I had, especially with this particular company, is that I wanted to make sure that the fees that we're being charged in residents or individuals that, as a result of actions, are affected by this, that it's the same fee in other communities that this particular vendor provides services. Again, that was something that we saw. And we requested that they go back and make sure that the fees that are within this agreement are reflective of the fees in other cities where they provide similar services. And so that took a little bit of time for them to do. They did finally get that done, which was one of the reasons why we're bringing this forward now is because they were able to meet that requirement that we put out there. So this is reflective of the fees in other cities now that they provide those services.
Well, I'm looking at some of these fees, and there are definitely some minimums, but there are no maximums. Is that normal?
I'll let someone who deals with towing businesses answer that.
That is pretty much a standard in all the communities, and I want to also advise council that having dealt with challenges and representing other police agencies, these are, in a sense, reasonable, unless you're on the towing end of the hook. These are reasonable fees compared to what other communities charge, both for the storage and for the towing. And the old timers on council know that the family that owns this company is a client of mine. I have nothing to do with this, and I've stayed out of this since they first came here and bid on it, but just to reacquaint the new council members that Old Man Vizak was a good friend of mine.
Through the chair, the state has maximum penalties, or maximum lists of what's going on, so the state actually controls the billing on this.
Okay. Further discussion?
Yeah, through the chair, real quick, just for the clarification in the audience, Matthew, when they have the auctions there every 2 months, that is a third-party vendor that comes in and runs those auctions?
I think, I'm not sure if it's a third party. I know that we rely upon them to manage the auctions, so I can't really answer if they bring in an auctioneer that is not associated with their businesses. I'd have to look at that.
The last 2 times I attended the auctions, they did. So just for everybody in the city, every now and then I do go to those auctions. So no griping on Facebook about it. Thank you.
Further discussion? Clerk, call the roll.
Council President Murphy?
Yes.
Councilperson Kelsey?
Yes.
Darzinski?
Yes.
Higgins?
Yes.
Parkinson?
Yes.
Ross?
Yes.
Mayor Carnes?
Yes. Next item also has a cover letter from our city manager. The mayor and city council took action in a previous meeting to adopt changes to the city code that expanded the ability to cite billboards near the highways. Mayor and council wish to require owners of billboards located in the city to obtain a license for these billboards. The attached ordinance will, 1, require owners of billboards to obtain a license. 2, require the submission of an application to the building department for a building permit. 3, require the billboard to be kept in good repair. And 4, make the license non-transferable. Whereas the mayor and city council wish to amend the city code that addresses signs within the city. Now therefore be it resolved that an ordinance to amend the municipal code of the city of Lincoln Park by adding chapter 890 entitled Billboards be given its first and second reading by title only. And it's the city of Lincoln Park ordains that the codified ordinance be amended by adding new chapter 890 entitled Billboards as follows. Well, I'll move on that.
Support. Sorry.
Discussion?
So real quick, this is pretty much reflective of what I had handed out a couple of meetings ago in terms of how the process would work. There may be a couple changes that were put in there just to reflect some cleanup that I thought we needed to get in there, but for the most part, it doesn't, there's not a significant change in what was given to you before.
Question through the chair.
Yes, sir.
I don't see anything in here about the language, or is that just arbitrarily, we talked about that, about, and I don't know if that was just a given, or we had to have something, or it was just, if it's against the decency code, it wouldn't go up there anyways.
Yeah, so what we put in there, because this is, you have to go to like the last page. The unlawful
Yes,
displays.
Thank you. Yep, that's it.
Yeah. And again, that's kind of the sensitive area with all this, because, we're, by the standards of Supreme Court, not allowed to legislate content. But I think within this language, it gives us any flexibility, should there be something that is contrary to federal, state, or local law, we can have them remove that display.
Okay, I seen it in the last, but I just read that one sentence. That's what I was looking for more, but hey, if that's the way it is, that's the way it is. Thank you.
Further discussion? Clerk, call the roll, please.
Mayor Carnes,
Yes.
Councilperson Ross,
Yes.
Darzinski,
Yes.
Higgins,
Yes.
Kelsey,
Yes.
Murphy.
Yes.
Parkinson.
Yes.
Okay, the next item is resolved that special event number 20 be appointed for Dr. Abbas Barrow to hold a trunk or treat for his patients at 1193 Southfield on October 27, 2018, from 12 p.m. to 5 p.m.
So move.
Support.
Or
Okay, discussion? Clerk, call the roll, please.
Council President Murphy.
Yes.
Councilperson Ross.
Yes.
Darzinski.
Yes.
Higgins.
Yes.
Kelsey.
Yes.
Parkinson.
Yes.
Mayor Carnes.
Yes. This next item is moved by Councilman Parkinson and supported by Councilman Kelsey. Be resolved that the building department is directed to schedule and conduct a meeting with landlords owning property within the city in the month of November 2018. And we'll open it up for discussion. Councilman Parkinson, do you wish to?
We've been trying to get this meeting for over a year now, so I think it's time.
If I may, what we were talking about is, the discussion is that some of the landlords have been contacting Councilman Parkinson and complaining about the rules are being kind of arbitrarily enforced, I guess. And we thought it would be a good idea because of the fact that, the landlords are business owners in the city and should adhere to the rules, but also if they have some complaints, they should come to a meeting and have the building department superintendent, John Myers, in attendance and explain to the landlords some of the concerns they have, and we as a council can hear those so that we understand. Because individually, if we get the complaints, it's kind of hard for us to, then we have to get a hold of John to find out what's going on. This way, they can air their stuff out and we can talk about, the ordinances and so on and so forth. And that goes to the same thing we had when we had the business owners here for the fire inspection fees. When we had them all come here and we talked about what their concerns were, and we had the fire department here explaining, why we charge the fees and so on and so forth. So that's what we and Councilman Parkinson is correct. We've been trying to do this for over a year to get this going, and unfortunately, there's 3 or 4 different categories of landlords, LLCs, individuals, and so on and so forth, and it's kind of hard to address all those unless we have them either individually or collectively by groups into the meeting to discuss how it affects them. Thank you.
Is this a study session?
Yes,
or-
a study session, yeah. It could be a study session.
So you want it to be including the entire council?
Yes, oh yeah, I think the entire council should be here because, in my opinion, they all need to hear the same thing we hear, and they all need to be able to interact with the the landlords. So yes, we'd like to make it, am I right, Councilman Parkinson?
Oh, definitely.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cost, but yes, we would.
Through the chair.
Well, we're going to hear from the city attorney first.
I would like council to take note, you've received a copy of the proposed class action against the city for the rental inspection ordinance. Council received a copy of that approximately a month ago. You know that the lawyers representing those purported landowners who can't even deal with the civil infractions with the community are banging at the doors of every community, have sued every community to challenge the ordinances, the inspections, the statutory provisions. So you're going to have to be either very careful if you must have a meeting now with the landlords who actually potentially will be your opponents in litigation if you're still representing the city after November, or conversely, we will have to bring some muzzles to the meeting to be careful as to what's said or what commitments are made or what you do other than here, because whatever you hear there, you're certainly going to hear in the depositions in federal court. So I applaud council for always wanting to reach out to individuals, but understand Councilman Murphy was here in the past, and Councilman Higgins' mother was here. We got sued in a class action on the rental ordinance years and years ago, where was the city's first attempt to bring rental property and rental stock into a proper order. And this lawsuit is so cumbersome that not only have they filed it in federal court, but we're dealing with what we call Mickey Mouse motions in the local court every week by landlords who refuse to follow up after they register to be inspected. So I'm not saying it's a bad idea. My recommendation is if you do it, you say nothing, and you can listen all you want, because saying anything else would be imprudent to the benefit of the city, because you could pay a massive decision on this, similar to the case you saw last week in the Free Press about the water runoff charges. So you have to be careful with what you say if you believe now is the best time to hear what we would call, in general terms, a bitch session by a bunch of landlords. So that's my cautionary instruction.
Councilman Darzinski, go ahead.
Thank you. If it's good with Councilman Parkinson and Councilman Kelsey, I think it's a really good idea that McKenna have one of their managers there, since they staff the building department. In fact, I think that's critical that they send somebody. It's not a deal killer. I'm voting yes. I'm just saying, I think McKenna needs to have a representative there, and it needs to be somebody who makes decisions and manages people. And that's the calmest I can put that.
Mr. Copper, you were scheduling some of these meetings, I understand, at a future date? Or
Yeah, we,
touch on that, please?
so we've been working with John Myers and Representatives McKenna on putting together a number of things that we think address a lot of the issues that we're hearing on a consistent basis over the last couple of years regarding our rental program. Part of it is the technology that we're deploying. We wanted to have that working so we could say, this is how you do it, this is what it is. We've also been meeting with landlords in the city already. I know John has met with a number. John, myself, and representatives from McKenna have met with others. So we've been trying to work out what are the legitimate issues versus the, I don't want to do thing issues. So when we did have larger group sessions, we'd be productive. It wouldn't be, we just have a problem, but, here's how, we look to solve this going forward. There is a difficulty in just inviting all the landlords into one meeting because, as Councilman Kelsey was saying, is that each of the different sizes have different types of issues. Someone that owns hundreds of rental units in an apartment-like setting is different than, the landlord that owns one or two properties. The one that owns one or two properties has different issues than those that own 20 or 30. And so it's not as easy as what we'd like to make it, that you just bring everybody together. It's, I think, going to be diffused in terms of what the issues are. And that's why in talking this through, we thought that it would be better to try to have multiple groups coming in. I guess I apologize because I didn't understand that this was going to be a study session with council. And so I didn't prepare this resolution to be a study session. The direction I believe I was given was just to have, as it states there very clearly, the building department schedule and conduct a meeting with landlords. And that was kind of as we talked after I knew this was going to be brought forward, that we would still be able to do it the way that we wanted to do it with the different sizes, and still be able to do it and meet the November deadline that you would be giving to us through this resolution. But if we're going to be doing a study, I think, again, if council wants to do the study session, that's great. But I think we're still committed to do it the way that we were planning on doing it, because I think there's a lot of value in explaining to people some of the changes that we are making within the system that is going to make their lives a lot easier, and I think produce a consistent, predictable result every time they sign up to have their properties inspected every 3 years.
If I
Chair?
could add, I would say that go with your guys' initial decision on that, and then if necessary, we can hold a study session with the combined information from the first 3 meetings or whatever that you had.
To the
But
chair.
who's first? Go ahead.
The problem that me and Councilman Kelsey have is we've asked for these meetings since over a year probably, now they're saying that they've had the meetings, well, why weren't we invited?
Well,
This
yeah,
is
these have been-
ridiculous. We've asked for these meetings and we were ignored. Now, that's what this resolution's all about. We've asked for a meeting, so I think it's time to make a resolution that we have a meeting. End of story. Thank you.
Mayor, I'm going to give the same caution to council, that anything you say at any meeting, whether it's a study session or an occasional conversation with the landlord, these are like your Fifth Amendment Miranda warnings. They will certainly use it in that federal class action. I don't think council has a concept of how serious some of these big-time landlords are at torpedoing rental ordinances, not only here, but in all the communities. So whatever you do, please proceed with caution. This is not, you may get the gripe or the occasional gripe, you may not have meetings, but it's a tough job enforcing the ordinance. And those of you who were here when it was first drafted knew there was a good meretricious purpose for doing it. My recommendation is you proceed with caution and you be very careful as to whatever you say. A wrong breath or an undertone comment could be used against the city, and it wasn't the last
Through the chair
lawsuit.
again.
Hold on. Council President is next.
Your Honor, I don't know if everyone's aware, but Councilman Clapton and I are the one that put this rental ordinance together. And we didn't do it to take a home that is maybe 30, 40 years old and make it brand new as if it were built yesterday. The trouble is, we have some landlords that are very concerned about their property and to maintain them well, and they're kind of under the gun because of the ones, we have a few in any group that you look at that just don't want to follow the rules. They don't want to keep their property looking nice. They don't want to keep it up to code. And that's the balance that we've got to address here. We need a basic understanding of what we really want. We don't want all these buildings torn down and rebuilt brand new from yesterday, but we do want them to be brought up to code. We want them to look decent. And that's what we're really striving to achieve in Lincoln Park. That's what our whole idea when we put this together was about, just making the homes safe and making them look nice.
Go ahead.
And I agree with what Councilman Kelly, or what Councilman Murphy said. But there is some,
All this BSNA stuff that's going to be happening at the building department, this gets us really, really close to having what I'm sure you're familiar with. It's worked in Maryland. It started in Baltimore, called City Stat, and that was actually a long time ago now. But I want everybody to know that this City Stat thing, once we get to the ability where we have the capacity to actually have it all integrated, it's going to really matter because, again, getting back to ISO and getting back to best practices, it allowed you to actually start looking at it looking forward ahead and looking back and saying, okay, these are things that are actually not working for us at all. So all this sounds good. All the technology being rolled out sounds good. It's taken a long time, sir. I understand all the challenges. I'd like to be optimistic that we're getting there, but we need to get there faster. I have a lot more questions, but it's just going to have to wait. Thank you.
Hear from-
I'm sorry. Yeah, we want Ralph at the special meeting in November. We do.
All right,
Please.
thank you.
All right, thank you, John. If you could both remain through citizen communications in case there's questions that come up, in which we will now open it up to citizen communications.
My name is Duchesne, and I live in Lincoln Park. I've come across some distressing news of which I cannot recall being mentioned at a city council meeting. Under the Michigan Freedom of Information Act, an organization in New York called United Impact Group wants copies of the ballots and other election-related materials from the 2016 presidential race. 14 downriver communities responded to that request with comments in the local paper except Lincoln Park. Through the chair, could someone representing the city bring us citizens up to date on this issue?
Mayor, one of the communities I represent got served with requests. Apparently, they don't care about Lincoln Park voters. They didn't come here.
They did.
Sorry to cut your speech short.
they did.
Oh, did they?
Yeah.
Oh, they did. And did you reply then?
We did reply to them.
Requesting the time?
Not to the newspaper.
All right. And that's the best way to handle it.
Oh, okay. Because I don't think it should cost the city of Lincoln Park 1 cent to fill that such a difficult and unreasonable request. I don't think that it was the intent or spirit of the law when the law was passed. When the law was passed, is my property tax bill a public document?
Yes.
In other words, anybody can come and look at it and copy it.
Well, it's online, so anybody can see that.
I mean, my personal property tax.
Yes.
Because somebody with deep pockets could come in and say they want all the, like the Siri issue was, they want all the property taxes copied. If they were willing to pay for all that expense, I guess. And I can go to any, and find out what any property is being taxed or that, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. Now, I was wondering if that request was for just Michigan or other states or the whole United States. Does anybody know that answer?
Do not know.
No. Someone has deep pockets. The issue on the internet was in Detroit newspapers last August. And don't forget to bring your scrap paper to the bins on Cleophas behind the library. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. And the answer from the audience was that they had responded to the party that submitted the request, but did not respond to the newspaper. So go ahead, sir.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Clifford Eberts. Just a couple things. One, as many of you Lincoln Parkers know, Sears is going to be closing, as the mayor said in his remarks this morning. So that's another property, John, I'm hoping you're going to keep on top of, because we definitely don't want to lose any businesses off our tax rolls, because that's going to help us to get some big budgeted businesses into the city to help us, increase our marketability. And we don't want to see Lincoln Park looking like a war zone and then businesses say, well, geez, why are we going to do business there? So we're hoping that you stay on top of that to increase our marketability so that we can go for some heavy hitters and get some much needed restaurants or retail establishments in, something that's going to increase, travel and tourism through Lincoln Park. One of the other things I had tonight is we're not going to have another meeting until almost November, so Halloween and Devil's Night is coming up. And as Tom mentioned to me earlier, I guess Mayor Dugan is not going to have an Angels Night type program or something in Detroit. So I'm kind of hoping that, I can appeal to Lincoln Park residents. If you have a vehicle, if you have the time, we'd love for you to come out because it's an important, integral part of keeping our city and our citizens safe. It helps our fire department and our police department keep the crime down, keeps the curfews in effect, and it's a chance to do your part as a citizen to show the city government and everyone else how involved you are, how much you love your city, and how much you are proactive in making Lincoln Park a better and safer place. And if someone can expand on what the hours, what they're going to do, what's going to happen for Devil's Night, somebody could let us know. That way we know when to meet. We all know where to meet, but just so we know what's in place for Devil's Night. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
This is a long night, folks. This is Ron Biagini. I was here last meeting. I'm here to say thank you. On my city channel, it's working. Whoever did it, thank you again. I'm very happy with that. I want to talk a little bit about the recycling. If you remember, we had it before. It didn't work worth a damn. We had a big red tub, if you remember that. Had to put the plastics, the glass, the tin, the newspapers all together, and the guy would come and sort it all out like he was dealing cards just about. get back in his truck and go to the next house right next door, do the same thing. It was really labor intensive for him. I believe it was Waste Management that was running the show at that time. And then they come up and they says, hey, you got to start rinsing out these milk jugs and the soap bottles. It's making us too much work. And take the labels off the soup cans. Everybody kind of like turned against that whole program. I don't know if there's any guidelines of people that want to recycle, but it just wasn't working. Nobody was happy. And then then they got the truck, and they took the whole truck full of, they didn't sort it no more. They took the whole truck right to the dump, right to the landfill. And then when the people found out about it, that was another problem with them. They didn't know what to do. And it was just a complete failure. And the whole thing about recycling, it's a good idea, it makes you feel warm and fuzzy, but it really is not efficient. I mean, if you look at California, everybody was talking about smog 10, 20 years ago. It was smog, smog, smog. Then they start cleaning up the air. And you don't hear about smog no more. So we did it ourselves. Some way or somehow, we got this problem solved. Now, just a few days ago, legislation up in Washington, D.C., 100%, that's Republicans and Democrats, signed this bill, gave it to our president, Trump, and he signed the bill condemning the Asian countries. They take their garbage out in the ocean and just dump it. Hundreds of thousands and hundreds of millions of tons of garbage just right out in the ocean. Their area, they got to wear masks. The rivers are polluted, and they dump all the garbage over there. And it goes around the world and around the world and around the world. We clean the air, we give them clean air, they give them dirty air back. So it's just not a popular thing, I believe. Now, Saturday I was at the candidates' place. I was kind of like disappointed with all the candidates. I heard them all, and it seemed like the common theme was, let's make Lincoln Park great again. Sounds like Washington, D.C. The only thing they didn't have was a red hat. And it just seems as though we got 9 people running for 6 jobs. And these candidates need us now. They need the people. Are they going to need us in 3 and 4 months when it's time to really look at the bills? Are they going to say, okay, maybe we ought to raise taxes? You know, I think we got to put the people first. I think we got to do that. We got special assessments all the time since the shooting, if you remember the shooting. A lot of older people do. Younger people probably don't know what I'm talking about. That's when we got sued. Insurance company didn't pay. We had to triple the settlement. The only people that paid was the people. The police budget didn't pay, the cop didn't pay, and neither did the police union. Nobody paid, so they had to go to the people. Honeywell, when the city got sued, it was the same old story. It's a 4-letter word, folks. It's spelled S-A-V-E. Anybody wants to sell something to the city of Lincoln Park, they say save. I can save you money. I can save you money. And then city council always seems like they just collapse and say, okay, let's do it. And that was a very terrible deal. I don't think anybody would have done it on their own personal budget. And we never got no money back for that one either. And then the street lighting. I remember when the city manager, I think his name was Joe Musey at that time, Mario DeSanto used to call him Mr. Joe, so I'm going to call him Mr. Joe.
You have 30 seconds, sir.
Oh, okay. He sat right there, and he actually shook his finger at the city council. You got to pass it tonight so I can get it on the tax roll by Wednesday. That's what happened. Thanks for your time.
Sean Stansberry. Good evening, Mayor and Council. 2 Sundays ago, the fire department put on an event for families and residents. I've seen a lot of kids there having fun and enjoying all the activities. Spoke with the chief, Chief Martin, and some great other people there about what was going on in the city and had some good conversations. Well, it was nice to see Councilman Kelsey and his wife Kathy there. Councilman Higgins stopped by. I seen the mayor drop in for a minute. And we need to take advantage of all these kinds of events in the city because we have a lot of great stuff. I know Councilman Darzinski, Higgins, they do a lot of stuff, and you don't see a lot of people there. So I wish people would get out and get involved because, it's a great asset to the city to have this stuff going on. A lot of cities don't have it, so. Also, too, the mayor touched on it, some sad news today about Lincoln Park closing, the Sears Plaza. It's not good all the way around for any of the downriver area or for Lincoln Park, so hopefully, in the future, we can get a good business in there and make that better. I personally have been shopping there for a while, and I just bought some things a couple weeks ago, so that's unfortunate to hear, so. And we can't afford to lose any more businesses as far as the tax revenue goes, especially a big business like that. That's gonna hurt. This last Saturday was the meet and greet sponsored by the Chamber of Commerce at the band shell. I think it's very important to hear what the candidates feel about the city, and we need to continue the comeback. Like Councilman Parkinson and Councilman Kelsey talked about it, 20-some years of downfall, it's not going to happen in 2 years. It takes a long time, so, it's positive, so that's a good thing. Residents need to be informed on who they're voting for to make, help make intelligent decisions we face. This process that we are at is a job interview for the people, like the gentleman was talking about. They're going to be hiring us to do a job, so hopefully we'll get some good people in, and we've got a lot of good people up here right now, so I felt that the event was a positive thing for everyone, so I hope everybody else did. I wish there was more people in attendance that was there. There was maybe 20 people in there, and I know some other people commented about it. I was a little disappointed, but, it's taped, so it'll be on the Lincoln Park channel, so people will be able to watch it and go over it, and hopefully people will listen to it and see who they want to vote for, because obviously, if you don't watch it, you don't know some of the people that are running. Some of the people up here rerunning, they know. Some of the people they don't know, so. I wish every event would be full capacity, the council meetings, all these events, that we just pack them in, and, people need to stop complaining and get engaged. If you sit at home and complain, you're not going to get anything done. That's just useless, so. I watched the video today that Don taped for the candidates last week in the council chambers. I just wanted to say that the audio is not working properly. I don't know if anybody said that or we have any complaints on that, so if we can maybe look into that. It's just real low, so maybe we can check into that. I know some of the council meetings sometimes come in low too, so. Let's see here. Well, we need to be proactive on everything in the city. The next election, I'd like to see us be proactive on the videos and all the, coverage of everything and all the advertising. We need to do this in months in advance, not weeks, but months. The residents need to be informed, and they don't need to be informed 2 weeks. They need to be informed months in advance. So we need to be, I feel we need to be more proactive. Last minute's not going to cut it. And as far as the recycling goes, I've done some research through GFL. I've talked to them. I called Wyandotte today, the city of Wyandotte. I talked to Dave Rothamal from the DPS.
You have 30 seconds.
Okay. And I'm going to talk more about that at the town hall for that. And then last, with the temperatures dropping, please don't leave your pets outside very long. Obviously, they're just like us. They get cold real quick. So, and then through the chair real quick, Matt, how is the animal shelter construction going?
Moving along.
Is it moving along?
I think we're looking at potentially delivery sometime in the latter half of November.
Okay, sounds good. All right, thank you.
That's time.
Hi, Joyce Murray. I just wanted to remind everybody, and we also have the information up on the Residents of Lincoln Park Facebook page. October 22nd, the Town Hall here in the Council Chambers, 7 p.m. And there was a question posed. Last time we had recycling and we found out that they were dumping it into the landfill, but we were being charged for it anyway. Was there any legal recourse from that we were able to recoup since we weren't getting the services that we were provided for?
I don't believe so, but I don't know that for certain.
Okay. Also, the next event, which we mentioned earlier, October 24th, the road study session here in the council chambers at 6:30. And then the Reverend was talking earlier about a sense of community, things to do with your children that go on in the community. And so far, nobody has mentioned yet. This Saturday, October 20th, we have the Ghost Walk going on from 6:30 to 9 at the vacant lot next to Lincoln Park Fire Department. So I hope that people bring their children out to that, because that is fun, it's educational, and it's going to involve the community itself. So I hope that we get a lot of people that come out for that. And it's for a good cause. Also, October 30th and 31st, we have the Angels Night and Halloween Night patrols. I was involved with that last year. Even though I had to work at 8 a.m. the next morning, I was out till 3 a.m. So it just takes some time. You don't have to volunteer the whole night. 5 p.m. it starts. They have pizza, raffles, prizes, even if you can only do 3-4 hours. No time is ever a good time to get involved. You work during the week, you have kids, you have stuff to do in the evening. On the weekends, you just want to relax or get your housework done. There's no good time, people. You just have to make it a priority to get involved. And I hope that people do that. This Saturday, I also went to the tree planting in the morning. Lots of hard work. Felt like I got hit by a truck afterwards, but I did it. So it was good to see that there was roughly about 20 people there. And guess what? 8 of those were kids. 8 of those were kids. So to see the parents getting their kids involved in something like that is great, because they're going to be able to look back in 20, 30 years and say, I planted that tree. And that's part of a sense of community, and we need to get more people involved in those. So I understand the weekends you just want to relax. After work, you just want to sit down, but you can't. There's stuff to do. We want our city to get better. We need you to get involved. So please get involved. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Tim Rona, a longtime resident. First off, through the chair, Tom and Dartniski, I would like to thank you both. You're not running. I want to thank you both for your time that you spent helping to make the city a better place, especially you, Tom. It's going to seem really strange seeing Larry sitting over there.
Thank you.
I haven't been around very much, haven't been seen very much, but I'm paying close attention to what's been going on in the city. And I wanted to come, I've been wanting to do this, been pretty busy, whatever, but I wanted to come tonight because people get up here and complain. And this was mentioned earlier by John and a couple of people. Come out and say the good things that's happening. And I've been seeing a lot of good things, especially for the last 3 years. Mayor, council, I want to thank you guys for working together, working hand in hand. No arguments, whatever, but working hand in hand. Maybe you have disagreements, but still you work together to make things happen. It's positive. And whoever replaces any of these seats up here, the people that run it, I hope they work together with who else is up here and work together. I know the city's got a long ways to go. I know mayor and council has a lot of work to do to make the city great again. I understand that. Also, our departments, our building department has gotten so much better. I put it this way, this is the first summer that I didn't have to call and ask for the potholes to get filled on the street, on my street. And you know me about the potholes because I had a lot of problems. The Harley Davidson doesn't make it well through those things. I also like to bring up our police department. The public relations is just wonderful. I've watched from on the internet where they were complaining about the police department to where that's gone away and they're praising them. Our Chief Waters, Lieutenant Lavis, or I'm sorry, Deputy Chief Lavis, and then also, there's some other officers have been working hand in hand to make it a better place. I mean, the ice cream thing this summer, handed out ice cream, that was great. Good public relations. Another big thing I've seen, and last time I was here, I was up here to talk about the building department. And I had asked about getting a new contractor, getting rid of the old contractor. And also another thing is I asked to keep John, because I felt John was a good guy. And you guys did do that. Hopefully that's what you were thinking anyways. And, I'm glad to see John's here, because I think he's a great guy. He's very intelligent. I've talked to him. I've been in construction all my life, in the commercial end of it. And I know from talking to him that he knew what he was doing. Now, he's got a lot of work ahead of him, a lot. But I've been noticing so many big changes in that department, so many things. Put it this way, I didn't realize how bad the old department, if you want to call it, even with the last contractor, was, until I started seeing changes that he's initiating, things that are going on. And I'm still watching. John, I wish you the very best. I know you got a long ways to go. One of the things, too, is there's a house that's on my street that has been nothing but a nuisance for 60 years, because I've talked to neighbors. It's been a nuisance to me for 15 years. And a couple years ago, the neighbors that were living there as a rental, a multi-unit rental, the neighbors were complaining about problems, about the floor sinking in, the walls sinking in, the walls cracking, rats coming in the middle of the night when they're sleeping. And I told the one tenant, I said, go see John. Next thing I know, the place is getting closed up, the people are moving out. He worked with the tenants so they can get out, but he worked with them. He closed the place up, and he's not playing games. The neighborhood is just praising the building department for the first time about this. And I just want to put out some positive things, because it needs to be brought out. I want to let you guys know you guys are doing a great job, and keep it up. Thank you for your time.
Thanks, sir. Anyone else? I see we have the State Rep Clementi in attendance. Do you wish to say anything? You're all set, or?
Can I just say hi?
Sure.
Hello, Mayor and Council, State Representative Kara Clementi. Very nice to see all of you. Great meeting, a lot going on in the city. I'm very, very proud to represent the city. We have a big election coming up with a lot on the ballot, so we want to make sure that our residents maybe check that out on a website and do your homework before you go into the polls so that you can be efficient in that area. I'm in district right now. My office is always available for everyone, so please, if you have any questions or if you need anything, get a hold of us. And that's it. It's been a long night, so thank you for letting me say hi, and I found the owner of the phone, so I'm all set.
Thank you. Seeing no one else approaching, we'll move on to oral reports of the mayor and council. Council President Murphy.
Thank you, Your Honor. It has been a very long but very productive meeting tonight. I mentioned a couple of weeks ago that I had the privilege of opening up the ribbon cutting for the new Sonic restaurant that we have here in Lincoln Park. And I mentioned also that the owner of the restaurant was really raving about the cooperation that he had gotten from our building department and the other officials in the city. And I wanted to mention that I got a letter from a gentleman, another business person in the city of Lincoln Park, who was on the other end of it. He's not really happy with some of the things that are going on. Harold Donaldson, and he wrote me this very long letter here, which I'm going to pass on to John Myers and he can take a look at. But the point I want to make tonight is that we had a landlord group that wanted to meet with us. And this gentleman has a complaint, and we had the people from Sonic telling us how great we are. What we really need is good communication, not only with our citizens, but with our business people too. Our whole job as administrators up here is to listen. We have a duty and a responsibility to listen. I can't tell you how many times that I've gotten phone calls from people And I've gone out to see them to talk to them about their complaint, and I knew going out there that after talking to them on the phone that I was not going to be able to give them the news they wanted. But I had a duty and a responsibility to listen to them vent and tell me how they feel about it. We have that duty and responsibility, not only with our citizens, but with our business people too, because without that, we don't increase business in Lincoln Park. So I hope that we'll take that seriously. John, I'll give you this letter after the meeting, and maybe we can address this gentleman's concerns. But communication, communication, communication. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thanks, sir. Councilman Higgins.
Thank you, Your Honor. 2 weeks ago, and the whole weekend was filled with events in Lincoln Park, and I just can't let it go by without being said. There was the first trunk or treat that we've had in the city in a long time, and then it was a zombie walk in there, and then there were bands, and this was all put together by the Recreation Department, and they just did a spectacular job. It was pouring in the morning, but I want you to know that I was there and I gave out over 300 pieces of candy. So the crowd was there, the kids had a good time, and that's what's important. And the bands were phenomenal. There was a huge crowd. Just congratulations to the Parks and Rec Department for once again giving us a great event. Although I will say that when it came for the judging for the trunk or treat, maybe they could have picked somebody else. I feel your pain now, Mayor, when you lose some of your things at Parks and Rec. I understand. Then the next day we had the farmers market where they were giving away corn and they were giving away donuts and cider, and the biggest crowd they've had all year. Farmers market's going to be open 2 more weekends, so right there on the corner of Fort and Southfield, come on out, get your fresh produce, and just come have a good time. And it was already mentioned once, but it's got to be mentioned again, that the fire department did a great job with the kids. I had a chance to have my grandkids over there, and now both of them are very sure that they want to be firemen when they grow up, and that says a lot about what we did over there. Just spectacular. The kids got to go in and see the fire trucks, got to work the fire hose, and it was a very, very, very well-run thing. We talked about recycling a little bit tonight, and we do have a meeting coming up, but I'd like everybody to know that recycling is back behind the high school. We had a recycling bin up front, paper only, thank you. It is back and has been moved to the back of the high school. If you bring the paper to the high school, the money will be donated to the kids at the high school. And of course, there's still a recycling bin at the library behind it in the fire department's parking lot. Please help out where you can. And we're not forcing anybody to, but we're asking you to. And the money goes to a good cause. And really, that's all for tonight, Your Honor. Thank you.
Thanks, your Councilman Kelsey.
Thank you, Your Honor. Just a couple of things. We're getting a little late tonight. One of the things I'd like to bring up is, like, the mayor gave the proclamation this Saturday, the 27th of October, they're going to have at the Masonic Temple on Southfield by 75, they're going to have the celebration of the 75th anniversary of the Order of Demolay for the Clifford C. Reeves chapter that's been in the city that long. It starts at 10:30 in the morning if you want to go for the degrees and that, and at 5:30 they have the dinner, which is $10 if you want to participate. It's always a good time. It's a very nice organization, does a lot in the community, and if you're interested, you have time, stop on by. Joyce already mentioned it, but we were at the VFW park for the planting of the trees. I didn't know there was 19 of them when I volunteered, but there was myself and my wife and Matt Koppler and James were there, and along with a bunch of little kids that helped out, and I think they will definitely be able to be impressed with that, because one of the mothers was telling us that she was across the street from the park when her little son was looking outside and wanted to know if he could participate, and they come over and helped out. So it's nice to see the kids like that, because they had a good time, and it was a nice day, and it was a cold day, but it still was a nice day. So it was nice to see everybody out there. did a lot of things for the citizens around there. When they saw it, they were very interested in coming out. So we drew some of the crowd from the fact that people were in the area and see it. And I think Matt's still a little bit sore from helping out wrestling those trees in the hole, but we didn't throw any dirt on him, so we let him get out of the hole anyways. Well, maybe a little bit of dirt, And the last thing I'd like to say is that and it's been touched on as the candidates forum, was very nice for the city to have that. It was a little lack of attendance, but as far as the citizens, but it was an opportunity, I think, and that's a democratic process that if you want to come down and see the candidates running for your city council, which is the basics of government, it's right here. This is where you get a chance to come up and talk to your reps and see them. And I think that was very nice that the city put that on, or actually the chamber put that on, which was very nice. That's all I have, Your Honor. Thank you.
Thanks, sir. Councilman Darzinski.
Thank you, Your Honor. Okay. Yeah, DUA, 50 people or bust. Seriously, take a drive. Everybody in Lincoln Park, take a drive. You know where it is. I grew up in Wyandotte. Start off at Jefferson, just after you get south of Central. Go past that section, then you turn west onto Pennsylvania, and then just before you get to the tracks, you turn right again. You loop onto Central. 38 acres, 30 buildings, and I'm telling you, 50 employees. That's a bare minimum. And get that second electrician, please. One electrician. There was some other part-time help, but one electrician. I can't even imagine. The fundraiser the mayor spoke about regarding the police officer that had the accident on his motorcycle. I have that as a function from 3 p.m. to midnight. Contact Chris Staffers for information. Adult tickets are $20. The town hall 3 that I had regarding the police and fire pension funds. This is why I did 3 town halls over the last 2 years. We had 6 people attend. Yeah, and silence falls over the crowd, 6 people. And most of them are in this room. One member of the Police and Fire Retirement Review Board was there. I will not identify the person, but I thanked them for showing up. They got to hear everything very brutally and very honestly. I do not pull my punches or my words for anyone, ever. Southfield Road, municipal parking between Tim Hortons and City Hall. You've noticed that the old disgusting lights are down and the new ones are going up. Thank you, DDA. That's all part of the lighting project that they have been putting together for months and months of work. We're going to have those nice 12-footers with the kind of flame torch on top, and we're going to have larger ones. Take it from a guy who's legally blind. I mean, when you have good lighting for your main corridor into your downtown, it changes the entire impact. Not to mention the lighting is just good for people like me who need to see people like you driving. Downriver Book Fair, December 1st. That's a Saturday at the Lincoln Park High School Library. It's our 2nd annual book fair. There'll also be crafter vendors. Starts at 10 a.m., runs to 6 p.m. $2 for adults, $1, 16 and under, $4 for family. Hands of the City is presenting this in conjunction with the library at the high school. The city library will also have a table there. Hands of the City is going to have a table there. All proceeds from the door tickets, after we pay for expenses, goes back to the library for their programs. So put December 1st on your calendar for the book fair at the Lincoln Park High School Library, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. And if you forget about it, just go to my Facebook page for everything going on in the city that I'm involved with or that Mike's involved with. Go on there, and other stuff that I post for the Lincoln Park Preservation Alliance and Lincoln Park Farmers Market. I try to get everything on my Facebook page. So, speaking of the Lincoln Park Preservation Alliance, as was mentioned, the Ghost Walk this Saturday, October 20th, starts at 6:30. Adults $5, kids $1. Cider and treats will be included. Any questions? Call 313-598-3137 to get the LPPA. And I will be there reading for the Haunted Museum. Love doing it. Just can't pull me away from that. Talk about Sears. Gosh, have we talked enough about Sears? No, we have not, let me tell you. But it's late. Some of us got to get up and go to work at 6 o'clock in the morning. So I'll come back to Sears. I'm never going to, emotionally, folks, I'm with you. It makes me sad too. A lot of great memories from when I was a kid there and everything, so forth and so on. God, now I got to drive farther to get another Craftsman lawnmower. Oh well. Yeah, so Giles is going to be contacting the property owners regarding that, and let's hope we get a good turnover to that, to a proper developer, someone who's going to work with us and not against us. I'll leave it there as far as that. Like, I got a lot of hard feelings towards certain people at high positions, not here, but in Hoffman Estates. Ooh, did I say that out loud? Yes, I did. Google it. It's in Illinois. Look, folks, I've been around a long time. I know stuff. It's the only area in the city where we can build up. It does need to be rezoned. That's something that has to be looked at. It's been talked about. It needs to be looked at. There's a lot of work. It's a lot of details. It's a big, complex thing, folks. But it's the only place where we could build $300-400 million of development and then get $2-3 million and to increase the tax bases. People want more cops. They want the roads fixed. Guess what? Those things cost money. 10 police officers. Does anybody know how much that costs? Let me tell you. It costs $1.4 million a year. Don't ask me. Talk to the people that run the police department. That's $1.4 million. It's not the Federal Reserve, folks. We can't create it out of thin air. It has to come from a general fund, which needs a tax base. The proper development needs to go there. You want more roads? A mile of roads costs how much? $1 million. So there you go. It's not that these things, nobody wants to do them. We do want to do them. They cost money. You want cops off of 12-hour shifts? You need 2 more platoons of cops. These are simple numbers. Take it from an economist. Hands of the City, we had a great meeting. We got a new volunteer. Thank you, Todd Jeffos of Celebrity Silvers, for stepping up and getting involved and becoming our new promotions director. We created board member positions. Thankfully, the political junta wasn't too bad. I only got railed into what, 3 or 4 was it, Mike? So
3 or 4.
Yeah, 3 or 4 out of 7. So, if you were never picked for dodgeball as a kid, or you were picked last, call me, because at Hands of the City, you can become a board member and you can get a whole bunch of responsibilities, and we will love you for it. Building department, yeah. Actually, I think we touched on most of that. The Southeast Michigan Film Festival is still going on. The venue has changed. It is at Henry Ford College in Dearborn. Go to my Facebook page. It's all right there, the webfest, semfest.com, and get all the information. The young people putting this together had to change the venue. Long story. I do not speak for them, so I won't get into the story. I will just tell you the event is still going on, November 2nd and 3rd at Henry Ford College. So go to the website, go to my Facebook page, and as they put 13 months of work into it, the proceeds, after they pay for expenses, will go back to the Lincoln Park High School Drama Department. So that says a lot about the integrity of those young people that just spent 13 months putting that together. Thank you, Mayor.
Councilman Parkinson.
Thank you, Your Honor. Matt, first thing I want to address my condolences for you. I'm sorry for your loss. The meet and greet was very nice. I just wish more people were there. There's probably 20 or a little bit over 20 people there. 10 of them were relative of the council candidates. So it would have been nice to see a little bit more involvement in that. Matt, the DTE Energy inspection, where are we at in it? Are we doing anything yet?
The capital projects are being worked on as we go through the capital improvement program for next year. So most of those will be addressed there. Some things are actually already in the system, like, for instance, the lights above us. Those are already programmed into this year's budget to be replaced. So there's some things that are being done, and the bigger things are being put into next year's capital.
Well, I know it's progressive, but there's a lot of things that our guys can do.
Yep.
Light bulbs, light fixtures, I used to do that stuff. I mean, it's simple.
As you know, there's actually a couple areas where the light fixtures need to be replaced that will be doing that as well. So, you know, we like to do it in the bigger scope of things to do it all together. But as I said, like these above council were already planned to be changed out. And as, you know, there's failures that we have to replace them anyways, we're replacing them, or will be replacing them with new fixtures rather than just putting old fixtures back in there.
One nice thing about DT&E Energy Inspection, it was free. It's not going to cost us $3.5 million. Thank you.
Thanks, Councilwoman Ross.
Thank you, Your Honor. Just a couple things. I know that it's already been mentioned, but worth repeating. The recycling meeting on the 22nd of October at 7. There's also a study session for the 2019 roads budget, October the 24th. That's at 6:30. And then just want to mention a couple other events that we had. The fire department open house, I know that we've already talked about that too, but the fire department did a really nice job of involving the school kids with that. They went to all the elementary schools and they did a coloring contest with those students. And the grand prize winner gets to have lunch at the firehouse with the firemen. So I thought that was pretty cool. The zombie apocalypse, I made that late also, but diehard crowd to the end. They were there. And then just some thank yous, you know, of course, to Maureen Tobin for a wonderful job that she did. I was watching her still walk back and forth to the end of that zombie apocalypse. Thank you to all the volunteers, of course, for the tree planting for the zombie apocalypse, because there's always so much to do. And then, of course, to Don Belinsky for putting those candidate videos together. He promised to have them done today, and he did. He did, so thank you. And then thank you to all of you here tonight. I was really surprised at the crowd that we had here. So thank you for coming. And then just one other reminder, I know I mentioned this before, but Saturday, November the 3rd, from 8 to 2, there's a household hazardous waste collection at the Wayne County Community College on Northline and Taylor. So, thank you.
Alrighty, reminder, the evaluations that were handed out for Mr. Copler, if you guys could get those to me as soon as possible, I'll compile them and get the results back to you. We don't want to sit on that too long. Again, the recycling will be next Monday. I think that's 6:30. Is that what time we said?
7.
7 p.m.? We'll get there early. Make sure you get a seat. Be there at 6:30. That is all that I have. Thank you all for your presentations, and if I could entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Support.
We're still
We're still in session.
in session. No,
We didn't
gotta
vote
take
yet.
the vote.